Of all the weeks, we took last week off, but I think we needed it, and we're back. It's Friday. We're talking end times and blue skies here on Anytime with Ken and Alden. I'm Ken. That sexy sumbitch is Alden.
Still Alden. We might not still be a democracy, but we are still a Ken and Alden. And yeah, we did take last week off. We did a crossover special with the boys on Bombad Cast, which was a blast. Which is still here on the channel. It's still here.
It is. Watch it. Look at their wild chicken wing thumbnail. I love it.
Yeah,
there you go.
That is nice and evergreen, and did happen post-election. So it's not like you're not going to go back and watch it and be like, "Look at these sweet summer children," thinking that it's going to go the other way. Good to decompress, and then Friday, you were out of town. You were at a film festival, and I thought it's probably better that I don't get on the microphone right now. Which is not to say that I'm less angry now. But I'm less ravenous and bloodthirsty now.
It's not about... Yeah, no, I gave, again, you and I, this is ours. And so I have the keys, you have the keys. So it's like, you want to go on, you go on. But yeah, it's one of those, like, it's okay to just, like, let's gather. Let's gather. If anger brings clarity, then maybe let's let that clarity arrive. That's all. Yeah. But I would have supported you either way, as you know. But I agree. I agree.
So it's been a long week, everybody. I think this might have been one of the longest weeks of my life, just in terms of how it felt. I legitimately feel like it's been a month since this election. I don't know if you share in that, or if Hustle has sped it up for you. It's
an easy joke to make, right? For you can, what a week Wednesday has been like, but it's true, and it's because it's an important and dangerous time. If you view it that way, for other people, it's a wonderful and celebratory time. I'll tell you about the 400 trucks I saw on the 118 freeway on Sunday. And it just there's a lot, and the news cycle is insane. The nominations for the cabinet positions, as they rolled out, each one was a week worth of news stories, but they were squished into afternoons.
That's where we're at now. I mean, and that's been the story since 2016. Like, how everybody has their own preferred. How was this not the end of this? Whether it's the grab 'em by the pussy audio, or the whatever it was for you. It has broken the speed of news cycles, and it's like, I wasn't a child of Watergate. That was complete history to me, obviously, being born in the 90s. But it's like, Watergate would be a fucking blip if it happened now. It deleted audio now, like, or removal of any document material. Like, who cares? It would be nothing.
Yeah, it's the speed of the world. Everything. We were talking on my show yesterday about just, athletes, NFL kickers are kicking 50-yard field goals like it's nothing. Just everything's gotten bigger, bolder, faster, and that includes the news cycle, the pop culture cycle. And it definitely has an effect. I don't think we're built for that way, and it's not saying that in some kind of like RFK Jr. put me on a, position in charge of your health. But like, I'm just saying, like, I just think our minds as kids, looking at screens and it helps. We have great hand-eye coordination. I don't, but kids coming up do. But it's just too much. Too much. We can't sit with as much.
Overloaded completely. I mean, this year, 2024, more than any other year, I have felt. Please, 8984M is right. Get your vaccines before just do it before this guy.
Steve Martin on Threads is having fun with it. He's like this. You can tell this is one that's really pissing him off. Because he's just like, do I have to get all the vaccines drained from my body now? Like, he's killing it.
But yeah, man, it's like, it's a lot to take in. I feel fried. Like, into your point, like, we were not meant to see, sex predators getting appointed to the office, and then you scroll and it's a baby elephant, and then you scroll and it's Ray Skywalker, and then you scroll and it's Palestine, and then you scroll and it's you were not meant to oscillate between tones that fast and that much. It would be like going to a funeral, and then like somebody's doing stand up over here, but then there's also a mime over here, but then like divorce papers are being served over there,
and then someone else dies in the back row.
Someone dies. Like, social media, it wasn't meant to be that way. And then we will talk a lot about social media today, because the end times is half of it. That's the election fallout. But there's also blue skies, in which I think if I may be so bold as to say, I think we might have to eat crow and hand out some apologies today.
100% prepared to eat crow. I will apologize to Ken Plume. I will
there's a list of a few guys, early adopters. We got Ken Plume,
Joseph Scrimshaw,
Charlie
some
Ashby.
of their pals. Ashby was?
Charlie has been there since the invite days. So
I was there, but I feel like I've been there for 2 years. Like I had like 45 invites. But look, but my let's just get into it.
Sure.
My thought is how I felt still stands for then, which was it was quiet. It was dusty. It was a dusty one-horse town that, and the amount of times I got the lesson on, well, you're only going to get from it what you give to it. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want that. I stopped posting regular on social media 5 years ago outside of promotion, occasional things. The world changed for me in a lot of ways when the murder of George Floyd happened. I was like, I don't want to post my omelet on Instagram. I don't want to right now. And that carried on. And then everything else exploded around it, blah, blah, blah. But what has changed, the world woke up the next day and was like, enough, right? And I hate that it came to an election, and we'll talk more about that. But like we all have those moments, right? Like I've been dilly-dallying over getting a vasectomy for 2 years. And I woke up the next day and it was like, I can't wait anymore. Like this has to start. And I started the process because I might not have it. I might not have insurance. And I hate to say that we sometimes need a slap in the face because the election results will affect a lot of people. We're seeing even just the culture. We're seeing that the bill passed in Ohio today, transgender bathroom ban and all that kind of stuff. But all that to tie it down to stupid, simple social media all day. I woke up the day and was like, nah, okay, enough. We don't have to give in to those folks anymore. And I think being on Twitter, I still have my accounts. I'm not removing them. I'm going to hold them. I don't want anyone else to take them. I might delete my posts. It's land to hold on to. But
sure.
But we don't need to. And that's what I love about what exploded on BlueSky is, we're not. We all learned our lessons. Don't engage with the trolls. Don't even look at them. Acknowledge this is different. And it doesn't. And I'm not worried about an echo chamber because we all have differing views, even on the same side on things, and we have ideas to exchange. But also, there's a little bit of joy. You know me. I don't post. I've become very political over the last few years on my shows, but I wouldn't post a lot of things because it's just you don't want to deal with it. That's an afternoon of 15 chuds coming after you, and right now that's not the case. Now BlueSky's exploding so far. I'm seeing some names show up of people where I'm like, here we go. The grift is over here, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, that's my rant on it. I like where we're at, and I apologize. I apologize to Ken Plume and Joseph Scrimshaw, who've been telling me for a year, get over there.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a stark contrast between logging on to Twitter at night and then immediately being told to kill myself, and then logging on to BlueSky and seeing Ken Plume baking cookies. Like, it really is an extremely different tone. So it's like, I want to start by saying this. I was very much and I'm on the record saying this, like, I will let the house burn down around me. I'm not moving again. I'm not doing it. In 2023, I got invites from Lauren Romo. I got different people were like, come to BlueSky. I have a code if you need it. Hey, do you need a code? And every single time I was like, I'm good. I'm not going to leave. There's no point. No point in leaving. Because even though Musk owned it, I was like, he is this unfortunate side character that we have to deal with that is loud. But like he's adjacent to the problem. But now that context has completely changed. We'll talk about the Department of Government Efficiency that has 2 heads, which is just fantastic. Like that is so that is like 1960s, 70s comedy right there.
The Department of Redundancy Department.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I was like, why does this tickle my brain? That's why.
It's a living, breathing, bad version of a Far Side joke.
100%. So it's like he actually does have influence now. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Musks of the world.
He's an oligarch.
You know, he's an oligarch who was victorious.
Do you say oligarch or oligarch? I say oligarch.
I say oligarch.
That makes sense. It kind of it's my dad's real birth Russian name is Oli, O-L-I. So oligarch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Say oligarch. Yeah. And I got depressing.
I derailed you with this stupid.
No, it's okay.
I put like a train 2x2 piece of train track wood in front of you and tripped.
I do not mind Word pronunciation tangents. In fact, one of my hills to die on is that the word epitome should be pronounced epitome, like some
Epitome.
British people say. Epitome is so much better.
Yeah.
I can't give them aluminium. I won't do that.
It's the Brian. I think Brian Regan is an old specialty. Epitome of Hyperbole is the album title.
That sounds awesome. I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Much like Timothy Oliphant. Thank you, Eli. Yeah, Oliphant. Timothy Oliphant.
Okay.
We got some love happening here in the comments. Yeah, we'll talk about some of this here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to this place where, I mean, look, these conversations are connected. So it's like it is also about the election. Like the election happened Wednesday. I took off work and just canceled everything and just sat around in a bathrobe and was just like blazing it up and just trying to just like really trying to disassociate, but I couldn't. Like, literally, like it's a good thing. And I don't know if I've ever said this on the show. I have never once in my life smoked a cigarette. Never smoked a cigarette.
Same.
However, I have smoked a lot of other stuff. And
you're going
and I knew if I touch a cigarette, especially now, I'll never stop. I will never stop. I have an addictive personality. I cannot do it. So yeah, no smoking, sitting around smoking. I'd still be smoking like by now I'd already be smoking like 3 packs a day, I guarantee you, if I started on that election day. My blood pressure was so high. I was angry. I was pissed. I was yelling. I sat around on a StreamYard, as you know, with some of our friends.
Some friends, yeah.
Some of those social media folks that we know and podcasters and brothers in arms. And we watched this coverage together. We watched the Kornacki cam. And I had that feeling that you described, you know, the great John Schnepp having in 16, where I was like, vibes are off. Something's off. Something's not right. Like, yeah, there's the red mirage and everything, and the way states get called. Like there are things to expect, but I just something was not right, and it infected my mood. And we'll talk about that stuff, the election fallout specifically, but moving it into the social media. Then it was like the gleeful celebrations on X/Twitter, which we knew there would be, but it was what pushed me over the edge into violent rage, and I knew that I needed to make a change, was the blatant celebration of sex crime and these like right-wing grifters and like the your body's my choice and like all of the like let's just like gleefully celebrate rapists. That was when I was like, I like can't even, which I think is a lot of what you arrived at with Team Force Center, which is like we just can't abide this, and we don't want to be even offhandedly involved, even tangentially involved.
There's something to it, and tell me if I'm off base for your own experience. There's something to it, and you bring up the Force Center thing. What finally, again, we're still on there. I don't want to ever come off as we pulled everything and pulled our tents and left. We're still there. We want to claim the space. Who knows how? I don't know if Elon's going to be there forever. Who knows? God willing, he's somehow in prison in 2 years. I don't know. I don't know how or why. He'll do something to step on his dick, I think. But it was like the whole thing happened around Molly Damon and everything. We wanted to rally around our friends who we love dearly. But it was just like it's a tidal wave around you there's no more. What if we all just left this? And there is some honor in standing and fighting, right? No, we're not ceding ground here. But it's like we're not we already lost it. We can regroup. We are the spark that keeps the resistance alive. Let's go elsewhere. And that's part of the lessons, I think, of Poe's Journey to the Last Jedi. Not to dumb it down to Star Wars, but this is what we do. We speak pop culture, and pop culture is our art. This is why I always go to it. And so for us, but for this past week for me too, it wasn't just a simple breath of, I can post jokes again. It was like I don't have to stick around for those people anymore. And there's we somehow we let them choose the terms of engagement in a lot of ways. And I know you've talked about this too, and I'll give you credit for that. But there's this like, what if we just didn't fight? What if we just took the oxygen out of the fire and you all burn? And Twitter goes off the top 25 charts. And then when they come over to other spots, even if BlueSky will get bigger, and they are there, and they will engage, and they will do. But here, example, I posted a Force Center episode, which was "Will E.T. show up in Star Wars?" was our thumbnail, It's a 20 minutes of that episode is me and Jen Landa talking about the cameo in 1999 and just having fun with it. And someone posted, he already was in it. He had a brief cameo in 1999 or in the Phantom Menace as a species was there. And I just normally I would like ignore that, and they weren't being mean, but I took the time to write back on BlueSky. Yeah, we talk about it. You should listen to the episode. Like, I'm just done with that kind of bullshit. From a 23-year-old kid that wasn't even alive and Phantom Menace was out, and I was just like, nah. And I think taking that out on BlueSky to Politics, where I'm like, no, I'm not even. We're done with you. We're done with you.
Yeah, I have a lot of, as you know, and you touched on it there. Like, I've always had a really complicated relationship with the idea of ceding ground or letting people decide things for me, or anything like that. And Molly is right. Hello, Molly. X is dangerous. I mean, at this point, it is complete fascist propaganda, top to bottom.
It's not even functional, right? Like that's
even as an app, it's not working.
Let the record reflect. I'd kill for Molly Damon. I'd kill for her. I'd kill for Alex. I'd probably kill for Molly first. There was no one to kill on X when that was happening because it's all this virtual world, and so it's like let's grab everybody. And it's not we're going to go shelter on an island. We're going to go fight, but we're going over here. We don't have to play this game.
It was a rigged game because once they made the verified replies bump up higher than everything else, and then surrendered it over to the bots and did all this shit, like it was just like it was never going to be feasible. And to 8984M's question to the is it what old Twitter feels like? Yeah, it feels like 2013 to 17 Twitter right now. 13 to 17 Twitter, because Twitter had earlier days where it was clunky, and then it found its sweet spot.
Clunky, and it was but the world, though the world was real around Twitter in its early days, some stuff in 2014 started happening. The shooting in St. Louis area, the riots and everything, and Twitter grew and matured, so it wasn't just sharing jokes and memes, but it grew with that, and it became productive. And I think BlueSky is born in this era where it's already serious. So we're now what's returning is a little bit of light, which is valuable.
100%. I mean, you of course we all remember the dream of the 90s is alive in Portland. Like I was talking to Nikki Kumar, and Nikki was like, the dream of the aughts is alive on BlueSky. he's like, I was like, this is returning us to social.
Can we get Armisen and Brownstein out? Can we bring them?
I would. Don't you shop at the same grocery store as Fred Armisen? Can you stop him next time?
Back when he was dating Natasha Lyonne, and Fred Armisen were at a Whole Foods, but he's now married to Ricky Lindholm. So yeah,
that's right. Yeah, wow, I forget they're not together anymore. Time has passed. Years have gone by.
Him and Ricky been married for like over 2 years. Yeah,
crazy. But yeah, so it's like I felt compelled to make that change, and I can be a really stubborn person, and I went over definitely arms crossed, as I have done with lots of things.
I do it too. That's why I 2 weeks ago on the show I said, don't bother, Alden. Don't bother with BlueSky.
Yes, yeah. You have, and not to be like, yeah, it's Ken's fault I didn't go, but like you have been like, I don't know if this is gonna be the one for these reasons. You've been able to back up your point, like of why, but it rapidly changed in a week. It has rapidly changed.
Things change.
And I would like to say I am enjoying it. I'm having fun. I'm replying to like people and just like talking about interests and things, and trying to have a laugh about the period that was Twitter. And for the good and bad, because like, look, I was a Twitter addict. I was a known quantity there amongst the nerds, at least to a certain degree. I've gotten into my fair share of crowd. I mean, people have fucking basically posted fucking libel about me on Twitter. We've gotten into fucking scraps and fights and character assassinations over memes and like just like all of these things that have happened. It's been a whole thing, and it's nice to like level the playing field where it's like, the worst, most terminally online Puritan who writes for a garbage website no longer has the immediate big platform that they had previously. We're all restarting. We're here. And Molly's right. It'll get messy eventually, but at least it's functional. The block works. They have a couple additional features. Like if you tweet something, Ken, and somebody quote tweets you on BlueSky or quote posts, because we're not saying skeet. I'm sorry. I'm not doing skeet. I said this to Charlie Ashby. There's zero fucking chance do I do Skeet. But if someone quote posts you, you can remove your post from that.
I think Skeet was born in a time where no one was really on BlueSky, and it was just like it was some hippies in a tent. They're like, "What if we called them Skeets?" Now the adults have arrived, and it's posts.
Yeah, it is absolutely posts, and I want to say, I'm not here to like, rah for like the BlueSky. It's not 100% where it needs to be for me personally. No. Yeah, there are going to be things that have like we'll get our group chat DMs, we'll get your different things that need to be tweaked. I would love it if the handles got simplified. I hate having the handles this, that.
It's that kind of stuff. Like, well, like going to this is my personal viewpoint on things, but it's like the Skeets, like Eli asked, is people actually saying Skeet? I wouldn't say it's active, but like there's a lot of people like, no, we determined Skeets when no one was here. We determined it. Think ahead. Think to Jake Tapper on CNN going, Representative Jasmine Crockett skeeted. It's not going to work. When you name your podcast, yeah, but when you name your podcast some dumb name or your email handle is Red Rider 72, like, and you're applying for jobs, like I used to tell people all the time, like I used to look at 40 resumes a day at my old job, and it's like if I look at it and you have that Red Raider 32, I'm not taking you seriously. Have an adult name. It's got to be post. It's like don't name your band. What if we were the asshole puckers? You're not going to be playing the Hollywood Bowl. Like stop.
Stop. Yeah, for sure. Stop. Yeah, so like little things like that. And I also culturally, can I complain about one thing on BlueSky? And this is going to be a very Alden complaint. I am already tired of the people that were there that think that they're the fucking gold pioneers. And like I
but that's what I'm saying. Those are the people who are like, well, we call them Skeets here. Well, I'm
annoyed.
We're not.
Yeah, exactly. Like every single person that I have seen that has done any version of the, hey, just so you know, what we do here on BlueSky. Hey, just so you know, the rules here. Hey, don't forget how we do things here, buddy. Hey, don't bring that over here, buddy. Hey, but listen, all you student government hall monitor fucking pick-me's.
I agree with you.
Can kick rocks. I do not care how you do things. Like we will let decency govern, no doubt. Like, but it's like the guys, remember over here, we ignore. Over here, okay, yeah, because ignoring worked out real well for you. Real well on every other platform. Not saying we need to cause wars.
Yeah. Not saying. I think what you and I are redirecting some anger from the world to some of the stuff going on there. But I'm having a great time. But I would say I agree that because I got a lot of that. That's why I didn't go over. And it wasn't from like necessarily Ken or Joseph, but it was like, well, over here, what you got to do is engage, and it's like I don't want to. But now I'm having fun. But yeah, no, there's something that's valuable. The alt text thing is good, and as you know, I think only you know. I'm just gonna say, folks, if I post a picture or a GIF, which is it's called a GIF, but you can call it a GIF if you want.
It is a GIF.
And I have something with alt text, for the love of God, click on it, whether you need it or not. I'm spinning gold in those alt texts. Okay, that's all.
Ken right now is the lord of the alt text. Like he's doing unique, bespoke bits that you only get. It's like bonus features on all of your posts.
Can I? All right, I'm just gonna. I'm so upset that no one's other than you knows about this. I'm gonna read the one that I posted on my Marie Callender's photo. All right, the Marie Callender's one is me flipping my middle finger to the mac and cheese with chicken because it suggested it was a meal to share. I wrote, a middle-aged man frustrated with the state of the world and the continued rise of the mega movement extends his middle finger to a Marie Callender's frozen dinner that suggests it is a meal to share. Gold. What are you all doing? Read my alt text.
No, it's fantastic. I've tried to adopt your style of being super descriptive and kind of light with the alt text. I think that we should add razzle dazzle to everything that we can in this life, especially right now. So but pro BlueSky, I think the migration is good. Let's enjoy it while we can. I don't feel like I need to be performative in a certain way, like maybe people did back in the Twitter days. And it's nice to see relief. It's nice to see some people that had left social in our back,
Yep.
or had only left Twitter. It's nice to see you posting again. I mean, you haven't been an active like conversational poster since before we were friends. So it's like it's a different era of meeting folks and mingling, and it's been heartening. Heartening is the word that I've gone to a couple times. I'm with you. It's helped in as much as it's nice to have a place to scream.
It's helped, and it is fueled some of my perspectives on where we are right now, and if we get into it, it's like I feel oddly good, and I say that with an asterisk, a giant asterisk behind it that we'll talk more about. But there's some creativity in me that's emerging. There's some boldness and strength emerging that hasn't been there in a while. That some of it's just to be creative again. What you're talking about, I wasn't like the world's funniest poster, but like I was a good social media conversationalist, where a lot of my humor came out of my replies or my conversations to you, and that's where I kind of showed a little bit of my style. And it's not just about me here, but it's just like I'm ready to get back to being me now, because we all need to be ourselves as we go forward in this world, and fight, or comfort, and all those kind of things. So that's why it's been big, and we're spending 25 minutes talking about it, because it hasn't been small. The BlueSky emergence this week, beyond just an app that will have problems, that will need to be ironed out, that grifters will show up, they already are. All those things are true, but it just is part of the tool set and the skills, not the tools in the shed, I should say, that we all have going forward.
Yeah, well said. And I think that our presence there right now, anytime still has the X account, but I'm not using it. We are on Threads. We're in BlueSky. The Instagram, like we're on all those places. At Anytime on air, we'll try to use it a little bit more. I'm thinking about doing like maybe we alternate and do like some Ask Me Anything BlueSkies on the Anytime account.
I think that's great.
Do some little answers and things. We'll have some fun. Everybody, if you're on there, feel free to drop your handle in there. Make friends in the comments. And then also, I don't do this a lot. I should do this more. If you like this show, we're not asking for money. We're not. I mean, we'll take it for sure. But we're not. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
We will take the money. But we're not asking for it. It's not Anytime. Nothing about Anytime is paywalled. The best thing that you could do for us right now, especially in this new era, and especially as the key promotional tool is now dead and buried, essentially. That's the other thing about Twitter and X dying, is that it is going to affect shows, especially smaller ones. Tell at least one other person that you like this Friday live show, that you enjoy hanging out. Tell them about a good take that Ken had and a bad take that Alden had, whatever you want to do.
All the way around.
Spread the word. Tell everybody we're welcoming. I say like all are welcome. We're welcoming all sorts, with the asterisks of like, I will banhammer you in a second for something that feels out of line. But you're all are welcome on a first impression.
For something that, not even beyond out of line, just something that is potentially destructive, or combative.
Yeah. We're definitely trying to set a tone. But,
you're right. We're sticking through it, and look, Anytime is still here. It's past a year. We've went through a big change early on when it's just the reality of what we wanted to do. You and I explained this on the show before. I won't go on, but for those who have just been joining along the way, the possibilities are still endless with this channel. It's just had to be on the back burner for both of us, but I give you all the credit for being like, no, let's find a new way to go forward, when I was ready to be like, I can't, I need my Friday mornings. But
because if we had our way, we would be doing internet weekend update type stuff, and like it would, but like we forget they have staffs and money, and like some people that we've worked with, some people that you got to keep in mind, a lot of what happens on the internet is based on, frankly, taking advantage of people. And a lot of your favorite creators will be like, oh yeah, man, come along with me on this ride. And then they have someone that does all their social and does their editing and does all this stuff. And they're working that person like a dog while they're the only one on camera. And like Ken does never operated that way. I refuse to operate that way.
or the people do it right. You know, I currently work for a channel that pays me and other and like you, but like some more news with Cody there. That they have a staff, they pay people, and they have editors, and it's a pretty big operation. I think that's the myth of digital media that is carried on far too long that not anyone here in our chat falls for because they're young enough to know. But like everyone thinks it's homespun, just a dude in the camera in his room, and the biggest channels have 15 people behind those cameras doing it. We don't
even
have that
when
right
even
now.
when aesthetically it looks that way.
Yeah,
You have people that will cosplay being of lower means or cosplay being more standard than they actually are. And put on the t-shirt, grab the stuffed animals, grab the baseball cap, whatever it is, and it's like, okay, all right. But here on Anytime, we are legit poor people.
we are legit broke. We are legit can't afford to hire staff.
You see that? Do you see these black sweaters that I wear almost every week?
Hey,
Walmart
both got that.
No, these weren't Walmart. These were maybe.
These
Target.
I buy my shirts now. When I did this switch to I'm only going to wear black t-shirts and black jeans. These are Target, baby, $15 a bundle, and that's my fashion.
Ladies, authentic, lower middle class gentlemen in your area. All right, here we are.
Look at again, my beard's getting real ruffled. I have a good trimmer myself, but my guy cut it pretty good last time, and I don't want to mess up what he did. But I can't afford to go back to get it cut this week. I can't. So I look like our buddy Laserbolt in his RV after 7 days on the road.
You should grow your beard out until the midterms.
I jokingly told my pal Joe Starr, I said, because he's doing, if you follow Joe Starr on his Instagram stories every day, like three to five times, he posts this clip of Dave Navarro and Ink Masters going, the Taco Bell brand believes in the Live Moss philosophy. And he's doing it to kind of keep his sanity during these times. But I had breakfast with him yesterday. This isn't accidental. It's planned every day. And I was like, you know what? How about you keep posting those every day until Trump dies, and I'll keep growing the beard, and and hopefully I trim soon. But I'll be here, and you just keep sharing the Live Moss philosophy.
I've never met Joe Starr, but I will say I follow him, because back at the panel show days and all that, and when he has had done 2 Instagram story bits. One is posting a pic of himself as a child for every single photo prompt, and then now it's this Live Moss one. And the best thing about it is that it wasn't until like the 6th or 7th time that I was like, oh, it's a bit.
It's a bit.
It finally dawned on me.
It's part of keeping his sanity. Laserbolt says tradition to not shave your beard until your hockey team loses. That's true. That's true. And NHL playoffs are a while away, so I'll be growing along with. No. Anyways, we had some fun. We settled in 30 minutes in. I think you're right. Help us spread the word about all the stuff too. BlueSky does really work. It doesn't have an algorithm in the sense the other ones do. Yep. So you need to kind of help spread the word. And that's part of the reason I'm being liberal with it too, and trying to, show the love. And even I got a Pop Rockin' Radio account to cool. I'm going to tell you about all the cool artists I follow and help get the word out. Now, the bands need to get to BlueSky. Sports teams are getting there. And news that's going to be. We do live in a world where we need that. That was the advantage X always had, was an earthquake hits. I need to go there to get the real time updates, and that made it a fully functional existence. Right. That's the thing. I think one of the big steps forward. Anyways, we don't turn this an hour on BlueSky.
No. So the BlueSky migration overall positive. We're happy, and you know what? Actually. Just game time decision. Can we go through a quick segment of just good news in general, just before we descend into true vitriolic? Wonderful. That was one of our interns that we don't pay who hit that button.
Thanks for hitting that button.
Thanks, pal.
It's my dog, Francis. Thank you, Francis.
Thanks, Francis. I don't have any specifics that I wanted to go to. I will start by saying this: in a dark time of fascism on the rise and bigotry abounds, Conan O'Brien will be hosting the Oscars for the first time, and that is something that I can hold on to. And the fact that it's the first time is very surprising.
Is that the first time?
First time he will be.
What is he? He's hosted other things then, right? Emmys or something, Golden Globes. I remember him hosting something.
I think he has. I think he's done other shows, but they announced that today. So I will,
Okay.
we'll just volley back and forth some good
Yeah.
news bits. Yeah, Conan I think was a great choice. There was rumors that they wanted to do a multiple hosts thing like they did that one year, and I just can't with that. I don't like that. I don't like the different hosted segments. It doesn't have a consistent tone. And Mulaney allegedly passed on it, and at first I was confused by that because he seemed like he was primed for it, and then news broke that Netflix is giving him a late night, and so I was like, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Okay.
So Conan, good stuff.
Conan.
We both like Conan.
I love Conan a lot. Though I stopped watching his travel show because he started to grate on me. But no,
Podcast is Pete Conan.
His podcast is Pete Conan. Great interviews. Love all the stuff there. I watch them in clips weekly. Yeah, great stuff. I'm excited about that. Star Wars Explained. I've met that guy. Definitely did host the Emmys. Yeah, I was trying to look on it online right now.
Star Wars Explained is here.
Molly's usually.
Will
Molly's
Conan
usually
O'Brien
here.
be appearing in Andor season 2?
Yeah. General Crix Mating. That's some good news. I have to look for some good news, right? What's?
Oh, I didn't mean a specifics. I just thought.
Oh, okay.
Has anything good happened to you in the last week? Has anything made you happy in the last week?
Okay, but it goes into the bigger election conversation. But
Sure.
I want to be clear about this, and I talked about it on the Blathering yesterday. I talked about it on my audio-only podcast this week, a knapsack file. Check it out. This election, and if everything goes forward, it will have consequences on levels that are very apparent and on levels that aren't apparent, even to the people that voted for him. We know that, and I want to acknowledge that. I am big on caveats. Joseph Scrimshaw is big on caveats, and I think we've mentored you to understand the need for caveats at times, right?
I have kicked and screamed along the way.
Yes, you are correctly part of a generation that's like, no, just say it, be proud, be strong about it, and I don't disagree with that. But I think in these times, it's important to look around. I want to acknowledge the caveat is even people in our chat will be directly affected in tremendous ways. I know people who are afraid to step out their house right now, so I'm acknowledging that. But the good news for me is there's just this batshit craziness that's going on. Matt Gaetz getting nominated. The deputy attorney general nomination is Trump's defense lawyer, and Trump is doing this to trigger. They're doing this to own the libs on a scale that's unimaginable. They are bringing this rogue gallery of scoundrels that everyone keeps talking about. That I think that with the trifecta win, it's going to be very, very dangerous time. But I think that this house of cards will crumble at some point. I really do. I really do, and I'm taking some solace in that. That's why I'm being so careful to say it's not going to be good. And I'm not here like yay, and it was silos on. Like there's a fight ahead, but it's so beyond the pale, ridiculous and crazy that I do think some of the dumbest, most ineffectual people might get into more positions of power, but that's a window to fight. That's a window to get to some sort of sanity as we try to build forward. And there's a lot to talk about of how we got here and this and that. I've been listening to all these shows. I'm making jokes. I'm so tired, but in a funny way. I'm tired of the "what do we do now" videos. Like it's just what's next. Like what's next after what's next. Like got it. And we should have this conversation. But that's the only thing I'll say, Alden. That's anything that I think is good this week. With each batshit crazy thing, this isn't Rex Tillerson and John Kelly, John Bolton, all these, monsters of Midway for sure, but like they were somewhat normal. and that was very dangerous during that time. And it was still relatively ineffectual at times. You can get into specifics, but you know what I mean? Like, and that's the only thing I'm looking at right now. I'm looking for little avenues of hope as we move forward. And these are ineffectual people who didn't put policy into play, didn't put legislation into play, and they're just power grabbing and they're just trolls, and that eventually is easier to topple. I think. I hope. It could be naive, but that's my good news for the week.
I'll take that, and we can combine that with the unbelievably funny news about the Onion acquiring InfoWars and all of Alex Jones.
Actually,
like that that represents what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Two things. First, Molly David says, good news. I got our Christmas decorations out. That's good. And then Tully says, can you have me blocked on BlueSky? Certainly not anything specific, Tully. I don't know why that would have happened. The only block, I subscribed to one of those block things that removed any like mega heavy stuff, which I know Tully is. So I'll look Tully. There's literally no thought in my mind. This happened before where you had a friend, Alden. They're like, well, you have them blocked. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
I don't know who they are.
A friend that I met at a wedding was like, your co-host, Ken Knapsack, has me blocked. I was like, I don't think he knows you. I don't think it's personal.
Yeah. So Tully, I know you. I don't think I'd have you. Okay. I'll find out.
Can I say something real quick that Tully reminded me? One last note about BlueSky. You know what's hilarious about new social media platforms is that what I realized, and this is maybe a comment on my own psychology, is that there are people that when I got there, I immediately was like, let me follow them. You know, the illustrious Molly Damon is a great example. You know, you follow Molly right off the bat. You follow.
I just said it on the show. I'd kill for Molly.
I would kill for her too. Absolutely. I'd kill for less, but I would definitely kill for her.
Yeah.
And the you hit up Scrimshaw, you hit up Jennifer Landa, you like just people that you like are great. Then there are other people who you like, but do you ever have that moment where you're like, nah, they can follow me, and then I'll
100%.
And it is such an interesting thing where like there are a couple people that I have no beef with, but I didn't click follow because I was like, I'll see if they think we're on those terms. And then I realized I was like, am I like a liege lord in Westeros, like sitting around being like, no, they must approach us.
It's 100. This is why I always say, when people are like, oh, it's so high school. Life is high school. It never stops. Do you think I worked at a convalescent center when I was a teenager? They had the same problems with 80-year-olds in wheelchairs. Gertrude said something about me. I don't want to sit next to her during the game time. I don't want to sit next to her during game time. Yeah, well, Skelton said something weird to me the other day, and it never stops, Alden. So what you're describing is what we all go through. 100%. There's some schmodown people. I'm like actual like personalities and stuff in the space where I'm like, nah, you follow me. And then there's a Cold War and a stalemate that goes on for like 6 years.
Yes.
For 6 years. 100%.
That's what it is.
And they probably view me as an asshole, and I view them as not my friend. And I love that. And then there's people in the Star Wars space where I'm like, okay, are we ready to start over here? Or I never really knew you before. And then I carry a little bit of baggage because I was connected to a brand that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. A lot of people. I was on a taco crawl with our buddy Dorina, and I met someone there who used to write for that channel when it was the writing side. And we had a great time and great conversation. We connected on Instagram, but I could tell the energy was, oh, you're not as bad as the other ones as I thought. Like I could tell.
No, totally. And that's why there was a post I was like, what were you known for on Twitter? And I said, what I was known for is like when you load up the sequel to a game and it depends on your decisions in the last game. Like what I was known for on Twitter entirely depends on what clique you were in. Because there were people that like really, really liked me and that we became real life friends because of that website. But then there are people that fucking wanted to crucify me. And oftentimes it was because of the same things. And so it's like, you know, the baggage, like, are we going to have that restart? Are we not?
There's probably people that love you that still want to crucify you. You are just a whirlwind. And I love that you show up here as a game picking up on a new cartridge.
Yeah, like it's, yeah, you know, you with all this, you have to be comfortable being disliked, all that stuff. But it's like, yeah, I'm in a Cold War with a few different accounts right now, and it could be entirely one-sided. But I'm like, no, they have to bring the terms. They can bring their son to my castle, and I'll decide if they can marry one of my daughters. Like it's, you know, like it's.
I love this. I love this. There's someone, I will not say their names, but there was a couple that joined BlueSky last night, and they both followed me. And I'm texting some friends of mine and being like, "What's the play here, guys?
Yeah.
What's the play here, guys? Because if I just follow one and not the other, which is kind of what I want to do." It creates a thing. So do I just not follow both or one and face it, or do I follow both and just mute? And because we all moved to a new high school. My friend Robbie Smith said BlueSky is like we all moved to a new school. Yeah. But now lot of the same people are in a new school, and it's like we got a chance to rewrite our path forward, and what do you want to do? And I'm sure some people have that with me. Like, I don't know. I knew him once at Collider, was on a show. He seemed okay. I don't know, but I didn't talk to him. Like, he seemed grumpy on Fridays. Totally get it. Totally get it. But yeah, I was 2 minutes before we were going live. I was getting texts of like, well, here's what we might do.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, so it's a whole thing. I just wanted to know if I was the only one having that experience. Your instant follows and then your tier of other follows. But yes, to your good news. And again, it ties in with the election. InfoWars obviously gets bought by the Onion. It's hilarious. Alex Jones gets his complete ass handed to him. He believes that the fake Onion CEO is real. The whole thing was just fantastic. The whole rollout. They own everything down to the desk and microphones. They own the supplements. They own the handles. They own the IPs. Yeah. They own everything.
Great.
It's pretty awesome. They're gonna turn it into comedy. They've already hired a lot of like Onion veterans and Clickhole veterans and other people to come in and create this new thing. And of course the real life important part is that the Sandy Hook families helped them do it, which is so good. They worked together on this, and as you talked about it, Darina talked about it, I talked about it. Like, this is a moral victory that we needed to see, desperately needed to see. Holding on to those little things will be so key going forward. Everything ranging from, Coop's good news here. I have tickets to see Ghost in April. That's the only thing keeping me alive currently. And Molly's Christmas decorations, like everything from those little things all the way up to, toppling a tyrant of lies and hate. All of those things count. Conan hosting the Oscars counts. I'm having a good time playing the new Dragon Age. That counts.
I really believe, and sorry if I cut you off, but I really believe existing is a form of resistance at this point. And we use terms like resistance, rebel, and that's sometimes almost fun to use because we all love Star Wars. But like, it is what it is. Like, I don't think what I understand and feel. Thank God, feel more than I did in 2016 as I started to grow with the help of people like John Schnepp around me or Joseph Scrimshaw around me, people who gave me the room to grow and change. 2016, I had this like, well, that sucks, but it's what it is. It's still normal, and now we know this is not normal. We live in unprecedented times, and everyone's begging to be in precedented times. But I would argue it's always been unprecedented from the dawn of time. That's the point, and this is overwhelming. This is overwhelming what's going on, right? Because a lot of it is fears, and fears, we all deal with fears as well. So you're right to wonder, what happens to my medicine that I need? What happens to my ability to get health care? What happens to my very existence, where my identity is now under a direct attack from this president-elect? And if I step out the door and a bunch of jackwagons and 4x4s with flags want to make an example of me, that's a real fear. So in those situations, playing Dragon Age for an hour while you smoke a doobie and eat a pizza is a victory because you're still alive. You're still going. I really do believe in that, and that's and the Onion thing is a big victory on a small scale. I keep going to the sports thing. I apologize because it's one of the greatest docs I've watched. I'm a Yankee fan, but that doc about the 2004 Red Sox and the famous baseball quote from Kevin Millar, down 3-0, telling everyone, "Don't let us win today. Don't let us win today, because if we get that one win, we ain't stopping." The Onion is part of that for me. The Onion is this is justice. This is justice, and what they're going to do with it, how they're going to play with it, but down to the desk and the microphones, that is a form of justice, and we should absolutely hold on to that, Alden. Absolutely, it's a big win on a small scale.
100%. Osvetnik, I want to jump on your point here. Looking forward to Superman next year is getting me through at this point. My depression, that looks like a job for Superman. I want to highlight that because there's all types of movies coming that we're excited for. I'm excited to see Gladiator 2 coming up. I'm excited to see War of the Rohirrim coming up, which we'll cover on Casually Talk. I'm excited.
We've got an interview lined up that I don't even think I told you yet, in like February for Casually Talk with my buddy Daniel Falconer, who did the Art of book.
Okay, perfect. There's an exclusive. We got Dave McKay, Sonic 3. Yeah, we got all types of stuff. But something about provided that neither movie moves to avoid the other, July of 2025 will have Superman and Fantastic Four. And those two in particular, more so Superman, but also F4, because they are the peak of optimism, the peak of family, the peak of aspiring to more, of better days, of fighting darkness with light. And just like, I couldn't think of a better 1-2 punch of comic book properties to come around right now. I know it's very in vogue to hate on comic book movies because you all can't read what Scorsese said with context. But it's like just like, so fucking tired of talking about this stuff. But it's like, those stories do mean something for a reason. They've endured for a reason. And I think Superman, who is an immigrant, is in a lot of ways the immigrant story in genre fiction, is about the American ideal, not the American reality, which he shares, of course, with Steve Rogers. But, you know, Steve Rogers is a little bit different because he's a military op. The everything that Superman is about truth and justice and the American way. The American way has always been third. And that's by design. Like, truth and justice are first. And then if we get those first two, you get the American way. It's not America because we have truth and justice. Those are very different. And Superman, created by two Jewish Americans during a time of great strife, is, you know, despite what Zack Snyder will try to convince you, is not the story of Jesus. He's the story of Moses. He was put in a little ship and sent down the river of space to arrive here to be taught what he needed. Man of Steel puts him in a church and they say he's 33 years old and they have him doing the crucifix pose and all this stuff. They didn't get it. I think we're going to get it this time now. Very important. That's my Superman thing.
I love it.
Silo season 2. I haven't watched Silo yet, Molly. I got to get on that. I didn't realize it was a genre fiction show until the first season ended and people started to talk about it a little bit more. Excited to check that out. Denzel and the new Black Panther. These are little things. These are little things.
Look, man, I had a listener turned friend that passed away of cancer a couple years ago, and we had a great conversation on Force Center. We got great conversation via email and DMs and everything. Friend Zach, and he did eventually, you know, it's a tough battle to win, and he passed away. But the power of the next Star Wars thing coming, keeping him going, or the next Avengers MCU thing, it seems so silly, but it is so big. And I want everyone to know that's it's okay. It's not silly to be like, oh, there's a new Fortnite map. I'm staying alive. Like
100%. That is it. We say it sometimes, especially like in my age group. I know that, like, and again, I want to say, like, you know, brief little content warning for anybody that, you know, I did say it earlier and I should have given the content warning and I apologize. Suicidal humor is a big thing with my generation. And, you know, whether that's right or not is not for me to decide. But a lot of the times, like, that's just a thing we throw around. Like, it'll be like, oh, you know, I have to stay an hour late at work. I'm going to kill myself. Like that gets said a lot. And with that, I think, the other side of that silliness is putting an incredible amount of importance on pop cultural stuff. And like, I remember after Mandalorian season 2, that long trek to Book of Boba Fett, the end of 20 into 2021, and working from home and all this stuff, no vaccine yet. And I remember just sitting around the house one day, and my ex was like, you know, what's wrong? And I was like, can I say something stupid? She was like, yeah. And I said, I miss Grogu. And I was like, I really miss him. Like, I miss the optimism. And I joked, I said, I feel like getting one of those tattoos that says mom, but instead it says Grogu. And now I have one. Now I have a green heart on my arm that says Grogu and Orabesh, instead of a red heart saying mom. And that stuff matters. Now
it's all important. Look, even my buddy Kingsport Cal says, to be honest, booze and fornication keep me going. And this is why I want to crowd fund a show that's called Ken and Cal in Tennessee. I think I convinced Cal and I are the next Larry David and JB Smoove comedy team. And I want this to happen. Cal, I think your answer is correct.
No, 100%. That's reality. Can we like autopsy the election real quick?
If you want, I'll give you can I just give you my perspective? I want to hear all of it. I want to hear it coming from. I am there's so much to it. I have an angle on it. I have a view on it.
Yeah.
if it's productive and you need to, let's do it.
Well, that's part of
Otherwise,
why. Part of why is that part of it is about you.
okay.
And that's pull up our thumbnail today.
Oh no, I was
Forgetting
pulling up
how
Molly
you do it.
Damon's Not Stupid. We Need Our Little Man. I thought she was just talking about you, but it was Grogu. Yeah, End Times,
So
Blue Sky.
this is part of why. People might have seen that thumbnail and been like, "Are they talking about Jesus?" It's 55 minutes. They haven't talked about Jesus. So it's like the first part of the autopsy is I wanted to ask you. You have a developing. I mean, it's not developing. I mean, you've been involved with religion your entire life. So it's really a natural build and a natural.
Breaking news: developing changes in psychedelic soul.
I'm being told they still believe in Christ. This is great news for some.
We go to our field reporter, Joseph of Arimathea.
Yeah. So you have a developing, not theory, but like a perspective that you're leaning more into and researching more and talking about more, which is that white Jesus and the fictional white Jesus helped get us at this point. And so you put him on the thumbnail, which of course is also related to the end time stuff and the joke of that title. But multiple times throughout the last 2 weeks in particular, you've been like, Alden, this is because of white Jesus. So I just want you to give you a minute or two to unpack it.
I said, you and I always arrive at the same point. We take different paths to get there. That's why we do this show. I'll try to offer you a perspective. I've credited you with changing so much of my perspective too. I'm glad to have you around, buddy.
I feel the same.
I really mean that. Where I'm coming at with this, I'm a base level. I'm not smart. I'm just not a smart human. But like when I was a security director, I authored and helped author emergency response plans. If you ever been to the Grove in Hollywood and the farmers market, like a lot of that's my stuff from mid 2000s, me and a team. But I was one of the leaders on it. And emergency response plans, almost because legally, have to be 250 pages, right? Like we got every case of an earthquake, a typhoon, and all these things, case of a bomb, case of a shooting, and it's important. And then you have to flip through all these pages. I was always like, my argument was this should be 10 pages. Because it's all base level stuff. Let's go to the core, what we need to do. Let's not complicate it. Let's create our emergency meeting spots. Let's create our chain of command, our standard operation procedures of just we need to know to do. And it goes through training and just knowledge. Because in an earthquake, I've been in earthquakes as a security director. I've been in one that's been enough to shake a mall that fell and collapsed in 1994. It carries a weight. It starts shaking and glass starts breaking. People freak the fuck out. And our job is to not freak the fuck out in that kind of public safety capacity. But you are going to, your adrenaline's going to rise, and you're going to remember two things. 250 pages is useless. 10 pages is better. So I take that into this. Anything you're about to say about the breakdown of the elections, what I want to hear, it's probably not wrong. It has a lot to do with your perspective and your journey. There's other things. Someone who said it in chat here, Extra Cheddar said it. I've been enjoying Jon Stewart's The Weekly Show podcast commentary and post-election things. I highly recommend you all check it out. Every Monday night and a Tuesday morning, there's a discourse around Jon Stewart and his Daily Show bits. And sometimes he hits it. Sometimes he misses it. Sometimes it's And sometimes I'm a comedy guy. Other times he's serious. That's all good. I love his segments. I watch him every week. But listen to his podcast, especially this week. There's some great stuff, great conversations going on. It's a different John when he's in that seat. He's got a great one today about identity. This was this week. I'm finishing it this morning. Sarah Smarsh, who is from rural Kansas, who's writing a book on economic identities and how sometimes the left has missed it, but also just a lot of people miss it. It's fascinating stuff. But Alden, all that to say, you want to know why we lost, and we almost lost in 2020, and we lost in 2016. It is the base level stuff. 83% of evangelical Christians, and I hear the term white evangelical Christians, that's a big general sweeping statement, but evangelical Christians vote for this man. They vote for this man because of a long play, 45, 50, 60-year plus effort from the Goldwater Republican Party that emerged in the late 60s following the party switch into the Southern strategy, into grabbing the moral majority. It is not a plan per se that was going to lead to January 6th or Trump. They didn't know that. But it is they have made it impossible for so many people who I think good people who at the end of the day, they feel a vote against Republicans is a vote against Jesus. That is a vote against Christianity. This country obviously has a lot to do with tied into religion, tied into Christianity. Was raised this way. I'm someone like I'm not even going to say I'm agnostic. I'm just like I'd still like to believe, but the players on that team make it impossible. And so that's why I think a lot of this comes back to it. A lot of the social issue arguments and a lot of the things we do let them dictate what the battle is. I had a great conversation with a friend whose friend is a transgender person who had this great take on. We let them dictate that I am a problem when I am 1% of this population and 3 of us have played sports. Fuck off. Like we're not the issue. And then there's the big mess of the economic stuff we can get into. And all that say, I don't mean to oversimplify it all, but I'm just saying a lot of people I know are like, how you can't vote against Jesus. You can't vote against Jesus. And it's because they have glommed onto it. They being a large proportion of the Republican leadership over the last 40, 50 years. This is Reagan's big thing. This was Goldwater's plan. This was the Southern strategy of let's say the words we can't say, but let's tie it to our religious identity. You know, the mishandling of history and the founding fathers and what they actually did and a lot of them who they were. Like it's so muddled that I think a lot of what we tried to run on, not necessarily run on in terms of Kamala and Waltz, but even you and I talking about it or friends talking about it, there's no way they are worried about the price of eggs, even though eggs are pretty low. It's coffee creamer that should be the problem. $9 for coffee creamer at the grocery store the other day. That is a real issue, and they're going to focus on that because their head is down, and they're not going to look up because everything else is an affront to the God they believe in. That's not correct. That's not correct. This is why I have shared on social media, on BlueSky, pastors that I'm listening to. I think it's valuable to listen to pastors who have joined the fight, who might not agree with us up and down the ballots, who might, in the end, vote a little bit issue or have a different take on the issue. Don't worry about that. Listen, I have these Ed Trevor, and who's Canadian, but he's dealing with because this affects the world. Pat Conkey is a retired pastor out of Minnesota. He used to be very involved in the pro-life movement. He's written 2 books on the Christian case against Trump. Fantastic channel to listen to. He interviewed another, I think his name's David Johnson, who talked about the Christians have chosen Barnabas. And what that means is that's not Kamala was Jesus and Trump was Barnabas. They have chosen legislation over the way of Jesus, and they continue to do it. And he breaks it down in a way that I can't, but only a pastor can. And I think that is the crux of what we here are facing. And how do we undo that grip of white Jesus? I don't know, because it's deep. But when you see it and you feel it and you loosen that grip in your own life, and I'm not saying this isn't atheists can attack. It's just like it's a reality that I think I grew up in. Where again, when I came out as a Democrat to my mother, it was as if I said, "Hail Satan," and that is a long play. That's my focus in the next few years. How do I untangle that? That's where I'm at, and that's why I think we lost is white Jesus.
Do you remember in Kevin Smith's Dogma when they shot up the Moobies executive board for being idolaters? Because and the cow was actually a golden calf in an animated style. Like all of that just rushed to my brain because when you said they've chosen Barnabas, I was like, they're also fucking idolaters. Like in a huge way.
They're the Pharisees, they're the Sadducees, and to go in a little bit just briefly, it's like that we were taught, the story of Easter weekend and Passover and Jesus's crucifixion begins with him riding into the city on a donkey, and everyone's cheering Hosanna, and they're putting palm leaves down. If you actually look at what the history of that means, Hosanna, Hosanna is not a yay, our Savior's here for eternity. It is people under Roman rule who want to rebel, who want to have their needs taken care of now because they feel they are under attack, and they want to. And pastors keep saying this. They want to make Israel great again. And so in on a donkey rides this Savior for the now. Hosanna, Hosanna is save us now. It's not save us in the afterlife. It's now. And so when Pilate puts up Jesus, the two criminals end up on the cross, and Barnabas, you are taught in Sunday school in general. Other people might have different experiences. You are taught in Sunday school that Barnabas is a bandit. Bandit is incorrect. If you follow it and go in deeper on it, Barnabas is an insurrectionist. And Pilate comes in town through the other gate, armed and heavy, because Passover weekend is definitely, we got Roman rule, but it's a rebellious time. And so when we say Christians have chosen Barnabas, it's not that Kamala was Jesus and that's you chose. It is you have chosen someone who can save you now to be a hammer. The people putting down the palm leaves as Jesus rode into town on a donkey wanted him to be their hammer. And a lot of Christians out there right now, not all of them, but a lot of them, are happy with what they're saying. So when we try to come at people, as I have had for the last 3-4 years, to say, but man, you've got the queer community needs your support, all this stuff I will not stop saying. I am speaking to a wall because they know I can't say the things I want to say, but Trump can say it, right? You hear that all the time. Trump saying the words they want. He is their hammer. He is their hammer. And they're doing this with legislation. Reverend Ed Trevors out of Canada said this wonderful thing in about an 8-9 minute video. He's like, if you really truly want to change the world, if Alden Diaz is a sinner and I want to change his heart, I have to trust Jesus to do that. But instead of trusting Jesus to do that, I have chosen people who will put legislation to force Alden to change. That is rejecting the way of Jesus. That is rejecting the way of Jesus. And that is what 83% of evangelical Christians have done. And that is what I think we're truly up against in this country. The rest of the world, I don't know. I'll check in with Maddie Gunner on the UK. Let's ask Charlie about white Jesus in the UK. But I think that's my big takeaway now. And there's so many other things to talk about that you probably are bringing to the table too. But you asked me, I went over your 2-minute mark. I apologize. That's why I'm passionate about it right now. Because I was raised in that.
I just feel like I just heard a conversation, as also Nick is saying, I'll be using this in a conversation with my parents very soon. I think if everybody clipped out what Ken just said and sent it in their family group chats, I mean, you're definitely going to lose some people by doing that. But the ones that you don't lose, real quick, before I open up this as well, I want to say hi to Crystal Kyber, who's here. Crystal is a fabulous makeup artist and also one half of the Crystal, if I get the name wrong, I'm sorry. I think it's the Bad Feeling clothing line, which is pretty badass. And everybody should check it out. I believe it's called Bad Feeling. Crystal, you could drop all your ats and everything in the chat and check them out. Yeah. So first of all, well said on all of that. Incredibly well said. And and the hypocrisy of the religious right is something that we sort of, my age group grew up in. Yeah, there you go. Bad Feeling. Perfect. And it's something that is just like a reality. Like I didn't see as much of the change arc that maybe your age group did. When I first became because it really ages from birth to 10 don't really fucking matter. But by the time I got to middle school and high school, we started to be like, oh, you're freaks. Because even in the running Romney and everything, before they picked him, you had Santorum in there, who was considered to be the furthest crazy that they had at the time, that could get that job, things like that. So we've always sort of felt this, and now I'm 28 and I'm full on into I've told relatives to their face, if Christ came back today, you would hate him. You would hate this brown man who hung out, was a brown socialist man who hung out with sex workers and the lower class,
who asked to give up debts and free criminals.
You guys would hate him so vehemently. So everything that you said really, I think, affirmed a lot of what a lot of us have felt for a long time. The kids are saying you're spitting bars, even Ken.
Bars.
Bars. You just discovered. Bars.
No, and 898 for him also says, Ken, are you sure a dumb person that you describe as? Yeah, I'm pretty dumb. I'm pretty dumb and klutzy. I every day reach for my coffee cup and drop the creamer because I can't grab it. I think my hands are failing me. Yeah, no, I'm a dumb guy. I like to simplify things. And it hit me because I'll say this again. I am not here to toss out God. I'm not here to toss out even the concept of Jesus as the Son of God. That's not for me to decide right now. But I am here to look at history. What changed me was history. When I looked at things of what we were taught, and I'm not even saying that in some kind of conspiracy way. The history is written by the victors. It was definitely written in a way that is not truthful. I grew up loving the movie How the West Was Won. The fact that what happened in the 1800s is framed as, and it was, a battle, a war that we won from the natives of this land, that doesn't just doesn't allow me to analyze the actual truth of it, the actual 100%, 360 degree truth of the West. Check out the Ken Burns produced doc, The West, and it gets you a pretty wide frame picture. But none of that. It was framed as we won. And I grew up with that. And when you start untangling, and I'm not here to untangle the Bible and everything, but I'm not talking about historical contradictions. I'm just like, when you start the bandit thing really shook me. That when you properly look at it, that's what's going on. That's the battle that's going on inside of me.
Yeah.
I want to change that.
It's something that we'll touch on more. We should get a guest. We should absolutely get someone. One of these people. We could talk to him, interview him. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts.
Hit me though. I went where I want to go, but I want you to go go where you want to go, man. Look. Alex Damon texted me, and I don't think you should send pictures like that to me again.
But he's so handsome. But he's such a handsome guy. Alex really is. Real quick, like Alex Damon really is way too handsome for what he does for a living. You ever think about that? Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
You explain Star Wars explained to somebody that wasn't in this space. So are you, quite frankly. Like, it's
I haven't. I want to be clear. I haven't thought about Alex in those terms. Not that I don't think he's an attractive man. I danced with Alex at the wedding recently, but I just hadn't thought of him in those terms. But yeah, no, he's got. You know, Alex brings the heat. He brings the heat, and I get it.
Cease this madness. Yeah, I know. It's just like I explained to somebody, because somebody was like, "Oh, you do this show and whatever." They had asked me this question of like, "Can you do YouTube for a living?" And I was like, "Well, really, not if you didn't get in at a certain time." And then they were like, "Oh, well, like, what about these channels?" And I was like, "Look, let me level with you. Most of these people are scumbags." I was like, "But I'm friends with these people that are really, really cool." And I started to tell them about Star Wars Explained. Then you show them Star Wars Explained, and 9 times out of 10 people have this reaction of like, "Oh," like I think they assume that it's like the comic book guy from Simpsons is going to be running this, and then it's like the 2 hottest people in Georgia, and you're like, "Oh, cool."
Because there's this. Make sure I don't go off on a rant. There is still a view that all of this is a bunch of nerds in their basement, and that is why other channels, we won't say them here, but the grifter channels rise to power, because so many people who are in those positions, who are in the business, I've told you, I've had these conversations with people who are Oscar winners and friends with Oscar winners and people whose shows are directly affected by it. I had, my acquaintance, I'll say acquaintance to be honest, but she just did the score for Inside Out 2, and I saw her at a Halloween party, Halloween night, and was like, "How's it going? You got such praise for that." And she had this look in her eyes, and she's like, "I'm being accused of turning kids gay with the music chords I chose." And that's the kind of thing where I want to turn to some of the other people in that circle and be like, "This is what I'm talking about. You all kind of view it as dummies on the internet talking about comic books, even though you're in it and you're the same thing. I've seen your displays at your houses. We talked down it. All that flows into Alex Damon is motherfucking sexy.
He's handsome. Anyway, so this election happened, and oh boy, did it happen. And I really don't want to be the 28-year-old who's angry and goes on the "here's why you guys fumbled and I know better" tour, because that is so common. And
acknowledge,
and we do need each other across the demos, and especially the age demos and things. However, I did say on an earlier episode of Anytime that part of my frustration, it was when we got the Biden, like, will Biden step down? It was after the shitty debate, but before the decision. And I remember saying part of the frustration is that every election that I've been able to vote in, an entire swath of demographics of age and gender identity and race, everybody that would be considered left of center, but particularly maybe the audiences of a Sanders or an AOC or a Rashida Tlaib, like the more progressive mainstreams, that audience, we have been patted on the head every single time and told by the more establishment Joe Hillary era Dems, the Pelosi's, if you will, "We've got this. We know what we're doing. Shut the fuck up. Know your role," et cetera, et cetera. And beyond just doing, they have put inordinate amounts of effort into stopping the progressive wing of their own party multiple times. I mean, we know, like, there's that infamous quote that goes around with Pelosi of like, "I have protest signs that are older than you." to AOC. There was, in 20 when Bernie was absolutely lapping Joe Biden and had already won 4 states. Then Obama makes these infamous phone calls. No, we're going all in on Joe. There's just so many instances of you guys don't get it. We know what we're doing. And so now here we are after 3 50-50 elections in a row, 3 coin tosses for the fate of actual human lives, not just conceptual, but like, because people say, oh, we survived 2016, we'll survive again. Lots of people fucking didn't. Lots of people did not survive the 2016 to 20 era. And then people didn't survive the 20 to 24 era because of the fallout of the 16 era. So
I'd say millions died.
Millions, to the tune of millions. And so here we are now. And they make this good decision in switching to Kamala Harris, which I still maintain was a good decision. I think Joe Biden absolutely would have been mollywopped in this election had he gone in. He would. Yeah, we had to bring back mollywopped.
Are you sure you're 28?
Mollywopped is back because they used it in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Joe Biden absolutely would have been destroyed. And all that has moved into disappointed elder face. Ken Plume, bake me a batch of cookies, man. Yeah, so it's like, I think Joe Biden absolutely would have gotten destroyed. I maintain that was a good decision. I maintain that choosing Tim Walz was the best decision. The first point that I would like to make in this rant is, out of all of the diagnoses and autopsies and what happens, the ones that blamed Walz, which were maybe 3 or 4 that I saw, are my least favorite. That's the last problem you had. That's the last.
Laughable. Those ones are laughable. Walz was perfect choice.
Should we have gone for Shapiro? Oh, should we have gone for Shapiro? Shut the fuck up. No, you had that was the best thing that you did.
Yeah.
However, as Eli says here, you misused him. That is a huge problem. You chose Walz and galvanized a lot of the youth that were already mad at you for the fact that Joe allowed Netanyahu to fucking dog walk him for a year, and is still letting fascists dog walk him, by the way, giggling in the fucking Oval Office with this piece of shit that they just said was a threat to our democracy, but we're going to welcome him with open arms and smile and laugh along the way. So, Joe Biden, as far as I'm concerned, is a fucking coward. I'm not saying that he's never gone through anything. I know he's had incredible amounts of tragedy in his life. Caveats. Yes, it's a hard job. You don't have to tell me it's a hard job. Not you, Ken, just anyone in the comments, because I know there's going to be someone that's like, well, the Inflation Reduction Act was a hard. I get it.
He's got a lot of legislation wins. Yeah.
He's got some wins.
You're acknowledging.
But he's a soulful coward, I think, and I think he's a character coward.
I get you. And
all the goodwill that they lost, they managed to win some of that back with Harris and Walz back-to-back decisions. And Walz, his entire platform as governor, everything that he's done was things that Kamala could have adopted in, and she did not run on any of them. There wasn't a single time that she took his most famous one, the free lunch for all the kids. She didn't bring that up into the POTUS level and say, like, as POTUS, I will also do. Never did it. She didn't do anything that he did to protect trans people. She never adopted that. And the list goes on and on and on. The paid family leave, which before Walz was the pick, he was saying the Dems should run on that. And everyone was like, I agree. Did they ever do it? No. They got Tim. They had the DNC. And then right after the DNC, when they were at their hottest, they decided, okay, now someone muzzle that guy. And then I'm going to make more public appearances with Liz Cheney than I do with anyone in my own team. We'll let AOC and Walz be a public team. We'll let AOC walk around with Kamala in the last-minute ground game. But we're going to tout the Cheneys and Bush-era conservative ideals to the point where they had Pete Buttigieg, who might be their best debater and litigator and debunker in their camp right now. The guy is on fire when it comes to showing up places in a really kind and accessible way, being like, here's why you're wrong and here's what I think. He's very good at it. They had him, who is gay, which we all know that's a big thing. That's probably why he was never going to be the VP. I hate to say that. I hate that we live in that country. But like when it was who's it going to be, there was a lot of, I think it'll be Mayor Pete. I'm sorry, it was just not going to happen for these reasons. They send Pete out to do this fucking like last minute press tour of him saying, "Oh, I think that we need to rehabilitate and get back to having a healthy Republican Party." And it's like, you mean the same Republican Party that didn't want you to be able to marry your husband or adopt your kids? Because that's pre-MAGA, baby. That was always the Republican Party. It was always the Republican Party. At least in my lifetime, my almost 30 years, that's always been it. And it's like, look, man, I love Star Wars. You love Star Wars. The redemptive ideals in fiction do not always apply to real life. That's why it's fiction. It's aspirational. We should want it and internalize it. But you cannot be out here saying this is the fight of our lives. Democracy's on the ballot. Things I agree with. I do think democracy was on the ballot. And I do think now it's in shambles, if it even exists at all. You have a president who has the powers of a king, affirmed by this court. You have actual sex predators making decisions about you and your families, like demonstrably provable sex predators, one of whom admitted it on tape, and he's the main one. Like, all these people are now involved, and we are spending more time trying to worry about how we can rehabilitate the party that we are saying are fascists. Kamala Harris, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist? Yes, I do. Okay, and then what? Well, we're going to be working with his transition team, and, we're going to be hoping for the best. And it's like, you are not equipped for the fight that you have accurately assessed is coming. And that is the story of the Democrats in my lifetime. I'm not saying that, of course, there aren't these other factors. Like, point number one, they hate black people. Just point number one. Kamala Harris's chances were severely reduced by the fact that they had 8 years of Obama to sit on and feel this palpable rage just build up. I think Van Jones is kind of an idiot, but the smartest thing that Van Jones ever said was saying that 2016 was the white lash. It absolutely was the white lash. It was the post-racial lie of America setting in, where 08 and 12, you're like, we did it, and we did it again. Wow, we must be done with this racism. No. So now you couple the fact that they also, point two, fucking hate women. They hate women so much. And you combine those two things together, and you have what she was up against, right? Also time. The fact that Joe Biden held on to the bitter end. If it was up to Joe Biden, he would have been campaigning while on oxygen. Like, he never would have let go if they didn't force him to let go. So take those three things and then combine it with everything that I just said about their strategy and their planning. And I just cannot fathom for the life of me how anyone doesn't see the problem. And yeah, Bernie Sanders puts out this letter, which I like 99% agree with. And everybody, rightfully points out, hey, you say working class, make sure you make that distinction about the black working class. Yes, absolutely. Make sure you make that distinction about the black working class, because they stayed true. Black women are the backbone of democracy, period, end of story. And they always have been. They are the least respected people in this country, but the most ready to fight for this country that doesn't even really care about them. And that is one of the great tragedies of our time. But what Bernie said in the macro about the working class, the fact that my fellow Latino men flocked to move over there is fucking embarrassing. It is fucking embarrassing. It is shameful. And I will excommunicate people in my own family and in my own circle for betraying their own. Marco Rubio is emblematic of everything that is happening with Latino men, this machismo bullshit. And all these factors came together and created this situation where the Democrats decided, we'll just be Bush, and that's how we're going to beat them. We're not going to do Medicare for all fell out of the conversation from the last two elections to now. It completely fell out of the conversation. Something that Kamala, I believe, was a co-sponsor of with Bernie. People can fact check me on that, but I think Kamala was in on that. And then now here we are, and that's out. College tuition wasn't in the conversation. They decided we're going to bank on Cheney. We're going to bank on Mark Cuban. We're going to bank on, trying to dunk on Elon Musk, which, hey, you always should dunk on Elon Musk. But they lost this election way more so than Trump won it. Well, I mean, he did get the popular, but that's another problem, is that, like, look at the voter turnouts and what did you do in these last 4 years? And then you look at, I'm going to keep ranting. Sorry, everybody. Then you look at the fact that
Hey, I went on 10 minutes about white Jesus, so.
No, it's cool. The literary stats came in from the National Literacy Institute, which I saw on BlueSky.
I saw that, yeah.
literacy data, its impact on the nation. Illiteracy has become such a serious problem in our country that 130 million adults are now unable to read a simple story to their children. 21% of adults in the U.S. are illiterate as of 2022. 54% of adults have a literacy below 6th grade level. 45 million are functionally illiterate and read below a 5th grade level. 44% of the American adults do not read a book in a year. And you combine all of that with the fact that the Democrats are losing faith and they're seeing everything that's happening in Gaza, that's happening with Palestinians. And you combine that with the fact that they feel like you're not talking about any of these issues, and their disillusionment combined with those stats that I just read, where you can con people into being like, well, your grocery prices are the most important thing. It was the perfect storm for them to win. George Lucas has never been more vindicated than he ever has been now. The prequel trilogy was a Bush era reflection and a Nam reflection. It is now a now reflection, which it arguably already was in 16. And now we go to like, well, the resistance and everything. Well, yes, and we will. But like, I remember 16. I remember, the Women's March and all those things. And the Women's March was an amazing visual and an amazing emotional moment. A functional moment, entirely useless. As a legislative moment, zero results. As an organizing movement, okay, I guess. But it's like, I just cannot imagine getting to 28 with the Democratic Party as it exists now. The Republican Party doesn't exist, as far as I'm concerned. They're the MAGA party. I will see with these appointments if the Republican Party actually still exists and whether or not they have the gall to defy the fucking Führer that they have. They're
only going to fight a few, right? Most of them are going to get it. Yeah.
I think that Gates might be the only one where there's an if.
Yeah.
If and the if being if this report does indeed get leaked to the press. But it's like, I hate the fucking contempt that the Dems have for their own base, and the fact that they just like laugh along, and like that concession speech got a lot of praise, and I understand why. That concession speech sent me into a fucking rage. I could not believe how smiley it was, and of course I want to caveat that with the women are always expected to smile. Women can experience horrible violent abuse and still be expected to smile. So of course, but as a politician, as somebody who was the first one to, because Joe Biden never said he was a fascist. Kamala Harris took that step, and it's like, you said this, this reality, what was on the line. Tim Walz and his family are right there next to you crying, and you're laughing, saying, I called him. We're going to work with the transition team. I'm not saying you need to be classless. I'm not saying you need to go up there and throw up the devil horns and be like, let's take to the Capitol, because that's their move. But it's like, why is there not a way to say, let's acknowledge the realities. Let's acknowledge what we need to do. Like, it's absolutely baffling to me. And so help me, if we get to 2028 and we're not running a real progressive, that's the only solution here. That's the only solution. And I hate to play into the Bernie bro like mythology of like this mythical Bernie bro that people are convinced lost Hillary the 2016 election, even though really she lost it for herself. It's like, he would have won. He absolutely would have won, because economic populism fucking works. It is obviously the key, because they just did the stupid version of it and they won. And the smart version of it could have played, because you would have gotten those young people. But their insistence on allowing anybody to say any of the things that I just said is why they lost. Their insistence on blowing Dick Cheney before they would allow Palestinians to take to the stage of the DNC while they're being genocided by somebody that Biden low-key kind of hates, if you believe the insider quotes, but publicly pretends like he loves. Like, that little game that has allowed a people to get decimated for a year while you're embracing the last guy that decimated people for 8 years, that's why you fucking lost. You lost. That's why you did this. And also throw in everything you said about Christ. Like, all those things combined are why we're here.
I don't say this to undercut anything you said, because it's wonderful. I think it is all flows to that, right? This is great. Keep going.
Hold on, I'm replying in the comments right now saying I will absolutely take any and all cookies that anyone wants to send.
Yeah, Ken wants to send you some cookies. Yeah, man.
It's annoying, man. Annoying is the understatement of the year. It's like I just can't understand. Like 16, it was my first election. Whatever, we lost. It was awful. We all rallied. 20, I always said had the silent running mate of COVID-19. It was Joe, Kamala, and COVID that won that. And now here we are, and it's like it was unforced errors. I believe they say unforced errors in sports.
Yes. Kingsport Cal says most people just went with the Christ thing. Going back to what I was saying. Yeah. No, I use the sports thing a lot. I love sports, and I'm a big sports fan, and I think more people should be sports fans to erase a lot of the sports fans that are there. It teaches you about yourself. It teaches you to be better. Someone who played baseball and all these things. Yeah, a devastating loss is often better for a team than a close emotional win. But saying that, knowing that again, I just feel you and I have to keep saying it so no one misunderstands, especially if you join the show now.
You constantly have to,
This has direct effect on people. A lot of them, most of them, you just mentioned there. Yeah. No. Here's the thing.
8984M's point, real quick too, just before we jump in. Like all the progressive ballot measures here in California lost. Yes, as well.
That's actually. Can I say? I think that is where my big go-to next point. Not necessarily with you. Again, you're saying so many truths, and it's again your perspective. It is the messaging, because again, what's going on in Gaza and West Bank and that has no meaning, right? It has for our party different. I'm talking about the other side. Has no meaning for them, because as Mike Huckabee said, Genesis 12. Turn your back on Israel, God will turn your back on you. That's the core belief. So we got to work on the own party stuff. Because there's when I say so much, I agree with you there. It's not that I disagree with you or anything. It's just
that issue wouldn't have gotten them. But the fact that everybody that is pro-Palestine won their elections, like Rashida Tlaib, it's definitely in terms of
and you're looking at the governors and what you might think are red states that go blue and all these things that should be studied. And there's this ping pong contest over the working class, the battle over the working class that like I said, I'm not an economist, but I do think it's a message thing. And I always try to go again, and this is why I say I am dumb. I go to my own experiences. Reading that book on the 1912 election and Eugene Debs, the socialist candidate for 4 or 5 elections running, the last one from prison because he protested the World War I. General comment there. I read his description, in the books, here's in the the setting stage, Woodrow Wilson, Teddy Roosevelt, this and that, and I read his thing, and I was like, what, holy fuck, am I a socialist? Because the way the book just laid it out of what he meant by that, and we are coded those words, socialism, communism, are weaponized, as you know, and the Bernie stuff can be weaponized, and it's tied into a lot of these bigger religious beliefs and bigger philosophical beliefs, and I think that messaging, if we can connect like a Tim Walz. And there's always this, the left overlooks, they don't connect with the working class. I think that's true in some way. But again, citing this interview, check this interview out Jon Stewart's got right now with Sarah Smarsh. She said
and the previous one too.
And she said this thing that dropped John's jaw about how the Republicans always do, and she said it so much smarter, but they always do a better job of seeming to vindicate those who are affected, right? And one of the big problems that's I think going on is this, and I talked about it on the Blathering yesterday. If you heard it, I apologize for repeating, but the Republicans for 40, 50 years have done such a great job of getting you to not trust the system. And there's truth in that, right? Yes. There's some truth in that. And the government can't help you. That was Ronald Reagan's big thing. I'm going to deregulate, and we're going to the government, and they build and build, and then some truths and some truths and some truths. And next, the Democrats, and I'm not just everything you're saying is correct. Democrats are backpedaling and having to defend a system that does not work for everyone.
Yeah.
And then they fumble that defense is what I think you're kind of saying. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is part of it.
I'm summarizing.
I saw Chris Hayes make that point too. They checkmate you into having to defend systems that are broken, like our healthcare or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And they don't need to have a point. All they need to do is make you stutter while making yours.
Yes.
And that's the thing. All they need to do is make you rattled while you're and Ken Plum's point here too is part of it. messaging is also screaming into the void if no one's listening, because those channels of trusted information distribution have been systematically demolished by the net and tech age, which is 100% true. Like, it's, you know,
I mean,
we
look
can
at this
say
comment from Coop. Found out a coworker of mine thinks all the news and videos coming to Gaza are AI generated, and I was like, yeah,
that person should be beat with a stick.
But it goes to the stats you stared on literacy. Shared on literacy.
It's bad. It's bad. And what's amazing is that, like, you would think, and this is why it's so hard, I think, for anybody in my age group to like have. Oh yeah, this is 100% right too, Steve. The right gets to be the right, and the left has to apologize for itself. I didn't think actress and singer Rachel Zegler was going to come up on this show, but today Rachel Zegler had to apologize. I guarantee you, her management or someone at Disney told her to. She apologized on her Instagram story for saying "fuck Trump" after the election and like being angry, and was like, I intend to lead with positivity going forward and all this stuff, and I'm sorry. And I'm like, how embarrassing that this like young Latina has to be here apologizing for being angry about the fact that an assault just happened on her rights and her people. Like, but she has to apologize. But we don't ask anyone to apologize. We don't ask fucking Hinchcliffe to apologize for being at a fucking Nazi rally. He doesn't have to apologize. In fact, it worked out really well for him, actually, because he might get
afraid it wasn't
in the new world. Yeah,
I can tell you, it's like afraid it wasn't.
The constant, like, we apologize for everything. Eric Trump was at a fucking rally with swastikas flying.
Yeah,
and that's not like, that's no longer a reason why these elections, you know, go the way they are. Like, it's beyond words to think that the bars are so different for these two sides, which are, you know, a lot more complicated than that. But it's when you combine the literacy problem with the disinformation / lies / misinformation, I'd like to say lies. I think disinformation being used a lot has not helped. I think that a pivotal point in our timeline shattering was the alternative facts moment. I think if we could go back, like, she should have been screamed at on television for that. She should have absolutely been laughed out of the studio for saying that. And we allowed it to fly, and now look who we are. Like, the ripple effects are tremendous. We are at the point now where so many people are so easily conned for all the reasons that we're talking about, that you can actually have someone like JD Vance spread fucking blood libel about Haitians, then admit that he made it up, and face zero consequences whatsoever. But then, it was absolutely a right-washing of lying, 100%, Steve. But then, students at college campuses can say "Free Palestine," and they militarized the response so quickly. They were cracking skulls in New York, in California. They were dragging professors to the ground and everything, and that was under Joseph Robinette Biden, not under the Republicans. And that's how we react to anything that moves or shakes or rattles the boat over here. But over there, you could be fucking Heiling Hitler all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue over the next 4 years, and I guarantee you everyone would be like, you know, it's a controversial stance, but it's like all these appointments. Like, Gates gets in, and I think CNN called it an unconventional pick, and it's like, you people are so, like, you guys, like, yes, the real threat that he wants to take away the broadcast licenses of people that disagree with him. But it's like, could you at least act like you deserve the broadcast license while you have it? Yeah. Could you at least act like you have any integrity whatsoever?
Yeah.
This is why we lost, man. It's because of this normalization and this complete lack of integrity and this, like, agree to disagree that the Democrats have been so addicted to for my entire life. Like, I have cousins that I'm pretty sure voted for Trump who I adore, and I am going to call them out about it the first chance I get. I'm going to wait until they have food in their mouths over the holidays to say it. Like, I gotta know if they did, because then I want them to walk over to my black nephews, one of whom is on the spectrum, and I want them to explain it to them. Everyone should be held to account in the way that I will hold my family to account. And and it's like, and we just like, but no, You
It's
don't
a
talk
sense of
about it.
normalcy. It's sometimes, hey, look, that's sometimes how you function, talk about the way. Yeah, yeah, it's a
It's
long held
insane.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I think looking forward. Not done listening to anything you want to rant on. I think like, to me it's messaging, change of perspective. Again,
Yep.
quoting going to the Sarah Smarsh interview, she said something great. She's from rural Kansas, and
Yep.
she goes, I moved to New York, and every time I got to New York and told people where I was from, people were like, oh my gosh, that's great. When did you get out?
Mm,
As if it was a good thing. And she's like, but that's my identity. I like the fact I moved back there. And
mm.
there is that. I think that's part of the coastal elite thing that gets bored of the messaging is, oh, that's so good. You got away from the dummies. And there's some people who like to wake up every day and go to work, or like to go camping in the wilderness, who like to lay low, who like are happy. They just want to
Yeah.
survive at their job, and they can't now. And so the system has failed them. And so we got to. I think it's a messaging thing. That's why I go to the Eugene Debs thing, Alden, is how, including your generation, you're not alone. There's not just your age group. I know friends. Well, we know Dorina, Elliot at Internet Today is on about this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it isn't just a generational age thing; it's a perspective thing. Is how the messaging? I think it's just and like Plume's right. Like, how do we get the word out? People a lot like and again the wall of white Jesus is so much big is a big thing in this country. I'm telling you, right? Because no one cares. He's going to protect our right to take away your rights, and that's why I went off on that rant. So I think it's all connected.
That's the thing is that like what,
Yeah.
and again, we're not going to solve this here, obviously.
Oh
but
no. We're just more than anything, we're just venting. This is what we wanted, and
We're
we're doing it
venting.
more, trying to do it in a more constructive and direct way than we would have done last Friday.
Last Friday, it was guillotine sharpen. Like last Friday, last week, I was in I'm still angry if you haven't noticed. But last week it was very like Ellie Mastel, who's somebody that I've mentioned before. I should try to get him on the show. And he writes for The Nation and is an author, and he's justice expert. And he was saying that as it was happening, like literally it was like right before NBC called it, he just tweeted, and this is somebody who is a progressive Black man who believed in Harris and all this stuff. I saw, and he's usually very verbose and eloquent. He just tweeted, you know what? Fuck it. You get the country you deserve. And that's how I felt last week. I was just like, burn this, out of here. Fuck it. I'm gonna go live with Charlie and Maddie Gunner. Fuck this place and fuck all of you.
Maddie's coming here though.
I know.
But here's the thing. But that's part of the messaging thing. I was in a green room with a comic who's from England. One of guy Miles Otway, black British guy, been here for 7 years. Just got his green card 2 days ago, and 2 days prior to our show, and he was just like so happy. And I was talking about like I know a lot of people might want to move, which has always been for years. Right? I'm going to Kansas. So and so wins. I'm going here. Blah blah blah. He's like, don't, man. Europe's such a goddamn mess right now.
Yeah, and the problems are not exclusive.
Yeah,
you know, we're egocentric in America, but they just narrowly avoided similar situations in England. They narrowly avoided similar situations in France.
Yeah. What you're saying there, I always go, first of all, Cape's Workhouse says, he says, you goddamn right, Ken. And I really believe that. I've been on this for a long time as someone who, who has a great life and has always got a privilege that's lets me coast easier than many others. But I worked a job for 17 years that was beneath people. And you got to see so many people treat me as such every day. And that's part of the identity. That wasn't my identity, but that's what the Sarah Smarsh interview is about. That's what I'm talking about. Kingsport Cal lives in Kingsport, Tennessee. He wakes up every day, goes to a job he likes, maybe not all the time, gets money as best he can to support his kid, support his family, support himself. And that's hard to do right now. And so naturally he should focus on that. But also our approach shouldn't be, and I'm not saying anything you said was this, Alden. I'm saying our approach wouldn't it be great to pluck you out of that? No, I want to be here. I love my city, I love my town, and let's not have that look on that too. And that's all part of the messaging.
Totally. And in 2016, I was a big like, fuck the red states, and I've had it.
But you're in I can't say fuck Florida because you're there and I love you.
No, you can. You for sure can. I'll take that. This state. I mean, look. I'm trying not to keep us here for so much longer because I know you probably got to go. But it's like this. You want to tell us about democracy, right? And then you being the big you, the dad, the fictional dad we all have. Any dad that I would have is fictional. No dad jokes. But it's like we here in Florida, by a majority voted to protect a woman's right to choose, right? That the government shall not interfere. By a majority voted. There's a 57%.
Right.
But it doesn't pass because it doesn't hit 60. And that's
Yeah.
democracy. And you're
Yeah.
telling me
And
that's
what,
democracy. A woman's right to choose got 1 million more votes than Ron DeSantis got for governor.
Yeah,
And
they asked for that, right? The Republicans wanted that. They wanted that 60% mark. That's how they win. That's how they hold down.
60% threshold in a motion that it itself did not receive 60%. Which is just like.
But this is why, Alden, we got to find, and I'm not asking you to answer now. I'm asking you and so many of us in this fight is how do we get that message out to a dumb world.
That's what blows my mind is that,
like, Jesus loving world. And again, I want to make sure clear. I know probably people loving Jesus, loving God, raised that way. It's the system around it that again, I was told by a family member when I needed money. Again, I'm on a phone with him going, no, Biden's had a lot of legislative wins. His administration is fighting monopolies in a way not since Teddy Roosevelt. The economy technically by the classic markers are working. Blah, blah, blah. Also, hey, can I have an extra $200 a month? I can't get food. So all they're hearing is, well, it ain't working. Also, I've been told, like, well, Jesus would teach us that that's your choice to take on that debt, so we can't help you. I've been told that by people I've asked help for who believe and hold on to that stuff. If we can untangle that messaging, to, as you said, a brown guy from Galilee showing up saying, let's free the debt, let's clear the debts.
Seriously.
Let's clear the debts every 7 years, right? I know we all want to make fun of my guy Bono, but he's been big about every 7 years I'm supposed to clear the debts. It's been a big thing. I wish he'd also pay my debts. But how do we work on the messaging? And that's a productive thing going forward. How can we all have the Kenny Knapsack moment of reading the description of Eugene Debs and going, I've been taught and trained and believe that these systems were of Satan or of
But then
Stalin.
also it's like, what is I know we both have our messages, but also what is going to be their message? If they're not, it's already been a week and some change. So it's like, if you're not already thinking about what the 28, well, first of all, the midterms, but also what 28 looks like, you're fools. You're fools. Because it's like,
you fools.
What actually is your message? Because evidently saying democracy is on the ballot did not work. Trying to rehabilitate the Republicans like they're itty bitty little babies that need to be fixed did not fucking work. The Republicans don't fucking like you. They hate you. They've chosen Trump now in 3 different cycles. That is their guy. MAGA is who they are. Stop trying to rehabilitate them. And even if you could magically Thanos snap the Republicans back into being Bush-era Republicans, they'd hate you too. They would still hate you.
Just with less flags on their trucks.
Exactly. More in a chill way.
Is it a case? I'm trying to summarize a lot of things here. Is it a case? We are not the ones in the positions right now to fix anything, but we're part of the conversation. Like 8984M said, even the small shows help, even the conversations help. Can our audience take this to people they know? Is it about a message of, hey, don't worry, we'll kind of be like you. We'll go to your court. We'll be like you, and it's more of a, how do we convince you are already kind of like us?
Yes, that was what worked about Sanders' populism. I genuinely believe that because it was like he was able to, have this background that he has, but then when he was going up against Hillary for that spot, that's what captivated so many young people was him saying like, yeah, there's all these things we need to fight for, but really look at the fact that you don't really fight left, right so much as you fight up, down. And once people realized that, they were like, oh shit.
Haves and the have-nots. Yeah.
And that is universal. But how do you get that messaging to people while doing all
you
this
and I
other
won't
shit?
know right now. I get
we
it.
We won't know right now. And they need to figure out truly what the message is, because the reality that we need to reckon with, and that's why I'm glad we did our happy blue sky talk and our good news and all that stuff. And maybe we should end on another positive. But it's like, we live in a country now where the messages, they are rapists and they have Nazis in their camp and they have white nationalists in their camp and they are con men and they want to ban Muslims and they spread lies about Haitians and all the things that you want to say. They mock the disabled. All these things are no longer deal breakers. So what message can possibly beat that? The fact that you can go to somebody who would absolutely not leave their daughter alone in a room with some of these men, but would still vote for these men. They are, it's hard to believe that they are able to be reasoned with at all. And that's why it's like, I wish the Democrats understood that there is no longer a value in trying to go for this mythical swing voter that does not exist. There's no longer a value in trying to redeem or pull anybody back. There is, however, value in getting all the people that lost faith in you from Obama all the way to right now today on Anytime with Ken and Alden, because that's how I mark time, is where are we at versus where it's like, all the people that lost faith in you from there to now, why can't you galvanize them? Because they think like, we're losing people, they must be over there. No, they're not over there. They hate that too, but they also think that you are useless. That's what they think. And you have, and it's like, you can say, well, what about inflation reduction? What about all these, like, you can go to it, sure. And maybe, more policy wonk types will be like, you know what, you're right. But you're not going to get people that are like, hey, you kind of threw trans people under the bus the second you lost. And yet you still insist that you want us. Like, you can't have both. And that's the thing. It's like, we are the Democrats and we will fight for LGBTQ rights. Here is George Bush's vice president to tell you more. You want your messaging?
Yeah, you've presented this in a great way to me too, because not that I disagree with you, but I do feel there's, like I told you, my journey, it would have, the permission structure of hearing, I wasn't a Cheney fan, but if in 2008 I had heard this, from George W., I might have been like, oh, do I have permission to question things? And I'm not saying you don't think there's value in it, but I just think there's been 50 years of sliding to this thing, right? I think that's what you're getting at, where it's like, that's what we're 30 years behind the game. We're 20 years behind the game. Yep. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. Where I think there's value in permission structures, and there's value. But what you said, yeah, keep saying that the queer community feels abandoned right now. We have to protect ourselves, and so that's part of my, conversation points going forward with people who disagree with me. It's just directly saying, I think I want to even directly say to some folks, like you're saying to your cousins, like, there's a lot of issues to choose. We always say that, but someone tells me, they vote for Trump, I'll be like, do you know any transgender people? Do you know? I'm not saying heard of. Yeah. I'm saying, do you have anyone in your life you could talk to now via DM, text, whatever? And that's going to tell me a lot about you. But not holding that in a weird way, holding it against them, but also knowing that that's part of the bigger picture is a lot of these folks just don't have their heads up. They just live, they look down. And how do we get those heads up? Not on just the social issues, but by going, hey, I'm broke too. And that's the problem, like you said. And gold throne dude who with tariffs ain't saving you, even though you believe it. But you said some really, I think, productive stuff here, Alden.
And they can't even define tariffs. They don't know what a tariff is.
They don't know, and they search, and that's not abnormal, right? All of us just live in our little silos, and not. But like I got to go to the store. I got to go to the store today. I can't afford to buy anything. Yeah, so yeah. There's a lot of valuable things you said. I really appreciate a lot of things you said today, because it's beyond us, and it's what's that?
I gotta say, I feel good.
Good. Okay.
I feel better for having this, because it's one thing to type all of this aggressively to like your buddies or talk about it over the phone, which is what we have also done. But like to say it here with the audience, because we can't do anything without our fans. You are the ones.
Yeah. We are the ones. Yeah, man. Look, and this is why, with all acknowledgement of the pain and suffering and fear and stress and things that are going on with people like us who know, if you're not stressed right now, then you truly aren't paying attention. If you're not angry or upset or just at least baffled, you're not paying attention. I really believe that. It's I don't know. It's good to have these conversations. It's good to try to figure it. But I think a decimating loss can become a victory if we find out how to do that. And again, respectful. The lives will be lost. So I'm not downplaying anything. But
it's going to be.
I think these are productive conversations. And if we all find our little corners, and again, the people around it, I am focused on understanding in a way which even I more than I was when I was in Sunday school. I want to understand how do I get that messaging across? If you did not vote, you voted against your own beliefs that you've preached for years. And how do I understand that? And how do you how do you get the messaging out about that?
I don't mean to launch into another thing, but like the median voter, I'm done with you. You know, if you're if you're a median voter right now, because our friend Trey Mitchell, I probably shouldn't have said his last name. Sorry, Trey. Trey was like,
what's his
showing us
address? I'm writing it down.
screenshots from his high school group chat, and there was a guy. So that means this person's around my age who was like, you know, I voted Trump because of economy, but you know, before you guys, you know, dunk on me, I voted for a woman's right to choose and for weed and everything. I just, you know, I just feel like you. If that is you, if you are that split voter, you are a clown. I'm not saying you're above redemption because, like, you clearly think you're navigating. You know, you're different than MAGA in my mind, but like, you guys, I don't even know. Like, I don't understand how you function. Like, how do you like? Can I get like SAT scores? Can I get? Can I see your letterbox? Like, did you like Last Jedi? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what happened?
I mean, look, there's people who don't like Last Jedi who I still think are on the right side. Let's be clear. But
that is true.
Yeah. No, again, it's one of my things too. I'm trying to work on a bit about it. I will see if I can get it to work on stage. Is you know, I wasn't interested in politics for most of my life. And other than every 4 years, it seemed like a fun game to watch on the news. And then slowly it changes. And politics correctly has a bad rap, right? Yeah, well, we get it. All politicians lie, all those things. Yeah, but how do we get people interested and how we get them to understand it is not just a game that's turned into, you know, political sport night on MSNBC every night, but like that it matters. And that might be the biggest hill for us to climb, Alden, at all. And that's the people you're talking about of like, no, I want weed to be legal. Anyways, Trump's going to save me with the money, like, so I can buy the weed that I voted for.
Yes.
And
how
do we get them more interested?
Having the conversation at all? Yeah. More interest is a great way to put it. How do we make the word politics not dirty? Like, because the boomers raised you guys and Gen X with that, and it came from their parents and the greatest generation of, hey, we don't discuss that here at the table. It's not appropriate, all that. So they made it dirty. That way those can work in the shadows. Everybody loves Hamilton, but people don't pay enough attention to the room where it happens as a song.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've never seen it because I don't like musicals. But
Stop it.
Yeah, but that is the decorum and the normalcy that I still think it has some value in a functioning society when I go to the grocery store. But that's the dividing line that it's turned. Well, it has separated politics from the homeless guy in the street corner you're afraid of, right? It seems like two separate issues. And how do we get people to realize being interested in this means you help that? And that might be the.
And then like sorry,
I've broken Eli's heart. I'll say this again. I want this to be clear. It is not 1860. There's other forms of entertainment now. We don't need to go on stage and sing. All right? Sorry.
Look, man, you and I doing a 2-man like vaudeville type, like little soft shoe, like it'd be fantastic.
Get out.
But no, you do need to be able to explain to people that everything is political inherently. They only understand politics as meaning career politicians. They don't understand.
Yeah. They take it out on Pelosi and Schumer, and maybe that's not a bad thing. Or Feinstein, rest in peace, Saint Diane. But like, you know, yeah. And by the way, when I say this, everyone, whoa, look, I just don't like musicals. Sorry, I don't like musicals. And what shall I do today with my brain? Get the hell out of here. But I'm also in radio, and that died 40 years ago.
That's true. That is true. No. You know what's politics? Go get a library card if you don't have one. That's politics.
Support your local libraries, man. My buddy Chris, the best librarian in LA County, man.
You know, do politics is policy and policy is everywhere. Extra cheddar. It's a great.
See that is that a song lyric? Policy is policy and policy is everywhere. Is that it? Is that what you want?
Joke, but you are also the man who admitted on air that he had not seen The Lion King, and I think
get a fucking library card.
People, you can't comment anything right now. It's not safe. It will be sung.
He's never seen The Lion King. Never seen The Lion King. What we gonna do about The Lion King? Yeah,
I'm gonna write myself a reminder.
No musicals for me, buddy.
can't. If we, how many subscribers are we at on this channel right now? Like 460 something, 470.
We need 28, 27 to be halfway partnered. We're about 470.
If you guys get us to 500 subs, tell a friend, grab your mom's phone and subscribe. I don't care. I don't care. Do whatever. If you get us to 500 subs, then I'm not saying Ken will watch Lion King, but I'm saying then I will start to put the effort into convincing him to watch Lion King.
People have been trying to do this. Did I ever tell you the story about Fridays, the movie Fridays?
Wait, Fridays plural or Friday?
Friday or but you know, right?
Friday, yeah, Friday.
Yeah, Friday. So this is, by the way, not a comment on if it's a good or bad movie, okay? I just don't like watching movies. And I had a friend, yeah. Bruce Jackson,
former screenwriter, by the way, Ken Knapsack saying,
former screenwriter. Look, I always joke. They were right to cut me from Collider first because I was walking up the street. We were going to lunch, and Mark Fernandez turns to me and goes, I don't like watching movies. I don't want to go to your screenings. First of all, they weren't paying me to go after hours, whatever. And he's like, but don't you think that's our job? And I was like, I mean, not for me. So they were right to cut me first. They were right to cut me first. I have no problem with Mark Fernandez cutting me first, and he took me to lunch and told me he was doing it first. He was stand-up about that issue. I will credit him to the end of my days on that. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So my friend Bruce Jackson, 6'4", tall guy, still friends with him. He goes, I'm going to make you watch Friday. I'm going to make you watch it. In fact, I'm going to get you my DVD copy. And so I came out, this is when I was a security supervisor, a day shift supervisor. I come back to my desk to get ready to sign out at the end of the day, and the movie was right there in front of my keyboard. I took it, I put it in the trash, and I went home. And he found it like an hour later, and he was like, man, what did you do? You threw my DVD in the trash. I was like, I ain't watching it, man. I ain't watching it. So Alden, people have been trying to get me watching movies for contests for years.
It's just like...
Years.
I understand it. And I know this because it's like you and I've been friends for about 5 years, and in that time, the only things I really recommend to you are music because I know you're way more receptive to it.
Music.
I don't really waste my time doing that. But what I need to do is start like this. This is a great plan. Have Ken Plume play The Lion King in the background, and then eventually we'll hear Ken Knapsack, not Plume. We'll hear Knapsack just be like, I just can't wait to be king. It'll get in your head. And then you'll start to, develop a taste for it. Then, you'll have Grace be like, you know what I want to listen to in the car today? The Lion King.
So by the way, she was a musical theater. She's great at music. She's been in a lot of musicals. She hates me for this. She hates me for this. The fact that I haven't watched I took her we went to see with her sister. We saw the Favreau version. But I haven't. She's really upset with me. But here's the thing: I'm upset with her because she hasn't watched Tombstone. All right.
See,
she hasn't watched Tombstone.
That is a valuable hill to die.
What are you gonna do, Alden? You gonna stand there, do something? You're gonna just stand there and bleed, huh? What are you gonna do? Okay.
But it is a testament to you as a partner and a man and a lover and a scholar that she's still with you. As a theater kid is still with you despite this horrendous stance that you have. So that says that everything else about you must be pretty good.
Hey, let's end on a weird note. Our buddy Brian Ward did a great Photoshop that's from the Bear and Dexter Jetster crossover. That's great. And it went like viral, right? And it's on Reddit and everything. The guy that does I Photoshop Paddington into movie, TV show, pop culture. He just posted the same picture that Brian did. He removed Dexter and he put Paddington. We need to find that person and everyone tag him. It's Jay the Chow, CHOU. I don't know if they're on BlueSky. Oh, he just made a BlueSky account.
Yeah.
We need to let them know that you just stole art.
You stole a bit, man. That's gimmick infringement.
I hate people like that.
No, people love to go and it's like the kid that says the joke louder. Class gets the laugh.
Anyways, all that great episode, 2 hours of fun, and we're not done talking about it. We're not done trying to figure it out, and we're not alone in this. That's the thing, and we're happy to have all of our Anytime listeners here. Jokes aside, I'll watch The Lion King if you get us to 1,000 subs, absolutely. But we're also trying to get to 500 just so we can maybe try to keep this thing going functionally. I'm not saying we're quitting, but I appreciate you, buddy. Good to hear from you. Hear from you in some very wonderful, intelligent, thoughtful, and angry ways. I understand what you're saying. And I love it. I love it. All right.
Sorry, I was addressing the people. 1,000 subs for Lion King. Tell your friends. Thank you to everybody, for being here. Thank you to new people that joined in, like Crystal. Thank you for people that are coming back around, and like Jonah. Thank you to the mainstays like Cal and David and 8-9. Like, Charlie, I'm not saying we're quitting. Is the Democratic Party?
And by the way, if you love musicals, watch them. Coop says I can handle life again. I'm there for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I'm not saying we're quitting. He said we're quitting. No, I didn't. Yes, he did. No, I didn't.
You're like so clearly enjoying this that I no longer believe you. You are so clearly into this.
Protest too much. Look, I like Grease. Okay,
That's one of the most iconic. Okay, you're gonna come home one day.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You're gonna come home one day.
I saw it as a movie first.
Grace is gonna be standing by your dining room table, and around that table is gonna be me, and Bloom, and Scrimshaw, and all these other people that have theater backgrounds and we're all gonna be like, Ken, we just want you to know that we love you, and this is a place of honesty. You clearly like musicals deep down. You want to be Danny Zuko.
Tell me
so
about
badly.
it, stud. Boom, 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 boom.
Scotty J Rose here. Scotty, love you, pal. Scotty, a science teacher in a Catholic institution. He's fighting the good fight. Everybody,
I'm so happy.
It's been a great one.
All right.
It's been a great one.
That's it. That's what we do every Friday, unless I travel and Alden takes the keys away from himself. Tell your friends, hang out here. We'll see you soon. Follow us on BlueSky. Seriously, follow us anytime on air on BlueSky. We're posting there. Hell, we might do some clips. I don't know. We'll see you next time. Bye.